information probably as the day goes on.
All right, let's get over to college football. Um, so
That's a shit.
the Big 12, the ACC, and the SEC right now are playing. The Big
Yes.
10 and the Pac-10 are not. Nebraska says they want to play somebody. Um, the Big 10 has threatened them if they play, they would not be allowed back in the conference next year. I don't know why they would do to go ahead and do that. If I was the conference, why you would threaten them like that? So this is America. People, it's supposed to be the land of the free hunter, but people sure do like telling other people what to do and where they can go.
Right. Yeah. And I think,
He's supposed to be the
and I
land of the
think
free
in all
here.
seriousness, it would be in Nebraska's best interest to leave the Big Ten. A lot of people forget Nebraska for the longest time was a Big 12 team. That's who they were with for the longest whenever they won those national championships back in like the 80s when they were really solid. That was when Nebraska was good. They were a Big 12 football team. So for them to join the Big 10, obviously money had to be a factor and maybe they were hoping it would help them in recruiting, but right now the Big 12 is still if Nebraska goes in there, they can still be pretty competitive. I'm not going to say they're going to win it because Oklahoma's sitting right there, but they would still be competitive.
You think
Because
they'd want you,
Texas has been down.
you think
Baylor, you never know now that they got a new head coach.
you think they want them back? Like
Well, they'll
Would
bring.
the ACC take Maryland back like that?
I don't know. I truly don't know because what the problem is going to run into for Nebraska is that a lot of these conferences that are going to play are doing conference only. So unless Nebraska is just committed to a conference, nobody's just gonna. They can't just schedule 10 to 11 out of conference games
Now,
because then they would have to hope that each team that has their one non-conference game, say in the Big 12, SEC, or the ACC, decides to put them on their schedule instead of how North Carolina put UNC Charlotte on there.
right. So what
They would have to replace Nebraska.
they could possibly do, Hunter, is join the Conference USA or the Sun Belt for this year. And
Yeah.
they could play, which those leagues are doing 8 conference games and they have like 15, 20 teams. And they're doing 8 conference games and 4 non-conference. So that means they could play one Big 12, one ACC, one SEC, and each one of those to fill those spots. Maybe even 2 ACCs or Big 12 teams to fill those spots. So I think the spots are there. Hey, Hunter, the more teams, the Big Ten's out, the Pac-10's out, all I see is Appalachian State moving up that top 25, baby. Woo!
I see it. I see it. I see it. I really do.
What argument
I
they going
see
to have to
it.
keep them out of the BCS if they go undefeated now? And
Can't now.
and there's nobody left.
I'll tell you what.
Well, Alabama's
if they-
automatically in the Final Four, so because of this.
And this is not me throwing shade, but if they joined Conference USA, Nebraska would have a good shot winning it. They'd have a good shot winning it. Who would be the hardest team they play? Western Kentucky, maybe?
I'm not
Southern
sure the
Miss?
makeup of Conference USA.
The Charlotte 49ers, Florida Atlantic, Florida International,
Well,
Louisiana Tech.
you could stop at Charlotte 49ers. So,
Marshall might be tough, but I don't know. It's
you can't make fun of
This-
them, Hunter. That your Tar Heels decided they didn't want to play Appalachian this year, and instead they signed UNCC as their team, and then Wake Forest backed out of playing Appalachian
here's the
and signed
thing,
Old
too.
Dominion, another part of
Too.
that league, who I think Charlotte beat. Yeah, because Old Dominion went 0-8. Wake Forest backed out of Appalachian to pick up the 0-8 Old Dominion, and then Old Dominion canceled all their sports.
Here's what's going to be tough too. There are 6 teams that are still independent. Army, BYU, Liberty, New Mexico, UConn, and UMass. Now, what are they going to do? Because since a lot of these teams are being forced to do conference only, if they want to try and build out a schedule, our team's going to have to force their hand like how they forced Notre Dame to have to play a conference schedule with the all ACC. Like, is that what they're going to have to do? Because my buddy, he's here visiting from Utah right now because he's from the area, and I just hung out with him yesterday. And I asked him, I was like, seriously, what is BYU going to do athletically? Because the Mountain West has already said they're not playing, so you can't just join them. The Pac-12 has said they're not playing, and the Big Ten is postponing it until spring. So if you want to play, it's like you have to join the Big 12, but then you have to conform to what they want to do.
Well, if you're the Big 12, I don't know. That's a great question. You talk about BYU, Liberty, Army, New Mexico, and UMass still. Somebody, if they want to play, Nebraska's available. So
Yeah, Nebraska is a
there's your one team you could play. You could play.
Nebraska. I dare you. I double dog dare you to just play a season. Forget what the Big Ten wants, because as soon as you get kicked out, there'll be a ton of other teams that follow, not from the Big Ten, but everywhere else, and you'll make a new conference.
Sorry, sitting there yawning. My biggest thing on all this is, if we're going to play because it's safe, let's open up everything and play because it's safe to play now. If they're playing for machismo and if they're playing for just because they want to play and because it's fun, like I said, when these college coaches say things like that, it makes me question the motives really quick and wonder aloud what their motives are. Like I've said in the past few weeks, if their motives are really there, I personally think they should tell the walk-ons that they can't play then.
Who was the other team out of the Big Ten that said they wanted to play? Because remember, they said the vote was like, what, 10-2?
Was it Iowa? I think it was Iowa.
It was Iowa.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Iowa.
Iowa can play just a game between each other, Nebraska and Iowa. Because what I'm looking at as well is they'll run into a problem if they want to join Conference USA or the Sun Belt. And the only problem that it is they're the ones that have to travel the most. Because those teams are all regional. They're all Southeast teams. They're all in the same area.
Well, there's 4 teams in Texas, Hunter, for Nebraska in the Conference USA. UTEP, UTSA, North Texas, and Rice. In the Sun Belt, let's go over there real quick. Out west is Arkansas. Hey, your Red Wolves, Arkansas State, are out west. Texas State. Troy. Is it Troy? No, that's in Alabama. So there's some options there. Some options. But yeah, let's say this, Hunter. Let's say they go, we got 2 conferences already not playing. How are they going to do national champion? Will they do a playoff system still, or do we go back to the old system and just vote?
I don't know.
This is going to cause a big conundrum if you got half the teams playing in the spring and half the teams playing in the fall.
I want you to think about it, because somebody made a great point on Twitter that I saw. They said, look, I feel the most sorry. That's what they said. They feel the most sorry for Ohio State. Because seriously, and I agree with them. That's probably the only team out of the Big Ten that could have competed for a national championship. But if they continue to only have the national championship for teams that play in the fall, then they just got screwed out of it. And all Ohio State's going to be doing in the spring when they play, they're all exhibition games because they have no chance. All they'll have to do is just be the Big Ten champion. That's it. That's what their bragging rights will be this year. Not national champions. They'll just be the Big Ten champions. And if that's what they're okay with, then you know what? I mean, that's fine. But I don't know about those kids that signed up to play at Ohio State, but I'm pretty sure I signed up to try and win a national championship.
Well, so what legal rights do the players have to transfer right now? Would the law? Do you think the lawyers would stop them and say, "Well, you're getting a football season. It didn't, you didn't agree to what year it would be, or whatever else it would be."
I don't know. I mean, I saw somebody tweet on Twitter said this is Justin Fields' second chance to go back to Georgia. So, I mean, I don't know, but I think that it should be an open transfer. The problem is teams are already probably so solidified on their rosters that are playing right now. I mean,
do you kick off walk-ons because you're getting transfers in from Ohio State? There's a lot of talk right now what's best for the kids and all that, Hunter. I'm just saying, depending on the situation, there's a lot of smoke too, a lot of BS being fired off, and what's best for the kids, what's best for the teams, what's best for Dabo Swinney is for him to play football. He's got $9 million riding on it, and Nick Saban's got $8 million. I can't remember how much Mac Brown's getting.
You could argue the same thing though for the kids. The best thing for the kids, well, I can't really call them kids because some of them might be my age. The same thing for
these are adult. The college ones are adults.
Yeah, they're adults. Yeah, the same thing for these. I'll just say the same thing for the players is to play because, like I said Monday, you might be talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, $1 million on the line for these kids that are trying to get drafted.
Mm-hmm.
So you're essentially telling them they have to put their careers on hold if a lot of them got a chance at the league. You're telling them they got to put their stuff on hold or maybe have to give up on that dream altogether because they can't put any tape out there. And of course, I'm only talking about like fringe guys. Trevor Lawrence is getting drafted regardless. Justin Fields is getting drafted regardless. Like those guys are getting drafted regardless. But it's everybody else, their teammates that might be guys that might be second to third day draft picks. They're the ones that are like, dude, I hate to put it, but you fucking with my money right now. If I was the students, I would look at them like that, say, look, you're not paying me right now, but you're screwing me on possibly being able to make money. That's what I would be the most mad about. And yeah, I think that, and this has nothing to do with whether or not I think they should be compensated. Of course, I think they should be compensated regardless. This is talking about you are a junior or a senior, and the next step for you is the league. It's just going to depend on where you get drafted now. Or if you even get drafted. Like, take Caleb Farley, for instance. Say he wasn't a projected first or second round draft pick. Say maybe he was a fringe cornerback who was on the border of whether or not he was going to get drafted maybe 5th or 6th round, maybe even the 7th round. And then you come out and say, hey, well, the season's canceled, and he's a senior. Well, what's he going to do? There's no Senior Bowl. He can't go and play in a Senior Bowl. Teams are kind of iffy on maybe they want to even invite him to the draft combine. I don't know. To me, I'm just gonna call it like I see it. It's bullshit. That's exactly what it is. It's bullshit. And it's not that I think the schools need their gate money and I think that the coaches need their season money. I just think of this straight up for the players, the ones that want to go and play on Sundays and get paid. That's bullshit. You work so hard. And you've already committed 3 years of your life to this school because in college football you got to say 3 or more years,
right?
And then you can go pro. Yeah, like it's required. Now I could understand maybe the freshmen and the sophomores not being so upset, but if I'm a junior going on a senior or a senior guy, I'm pissed. I'd be mad as hell because money's on the line right now. My future's on the line right now. Do I need to stay another year and just finish up my degree so that I can get I'm not saying NFL is not a real job, but you know what I mean when I say a real job, someone that's my degree's in, or do I get to go and play the game that I love because I get the season in and I've worked my butt off to get drafted? That's just what I feel so bad about.
I'm just trying to look through see if there's any, other notes on some of this. Talking about, are there options for these guys? I guess we'll get a little bit more clearer picture on some of this here in the next few days.
The XFL, they'd all get a chance, but
you're 100% right on the XFL. People want to poo-poo it. I hate when we act like we can't have more than one football league in this country, and we got damn 15 college football leagues, and all we're asking is one where you pay them and then see what happens when they're getting paid, as opposed to having to go to school and do a lot of time with that. Nebraska's still holding on. The player, what can the players do? So that's some of the things they're kind of talking about left with college football. I'm intrigued on how that like I said, how that would affect App State national championship and things like that. If they'll be considered or allowed to play. Will they do split championships, a fall and a spring national champion? How will the AP handle that? How will the BCS handle that?
Do champions. Seriously, I don't even know if they'll do bowl or championship games. Because what was the main reason they went to all conference games anyways? They wanted to cut down on travel, and they wanted to cut down on because they could control everybody in their own bubble. Like the ACC teams all follow the regulations under the ACC. SEC teams follow all the regulations under the SEC. That was the whole point. So now I'm sitting here wondering, they might not even have bowl games. They might not even have a national championship. You just get to celebrate this year if you are a conference champion. And guess what? For the ACC, everybody else might as well give up because it's probably just going to be Clemson. As much as I think North Carolina's done a great job with their recruiting class, they're still too young. And Clemson's returning a Trevor Lawrence and a bunch of other starters. So if that's the season that kids get to look forward to, then hey, you know what? Whatever. What do I know? You know? That's why I'm not over one of these conferences, I guess.
That's the reason.
That's the reason. You know what? What do I know? Well, I'm just thinking about the athletes. Whatever.
Yeah.
God forbid.
Well,